Hello, everyone. Anshul this side again. Good morning to all of you. Thank you for coming in early for this session. So today we are going to discuss about why SMO is an important and integral part to make your ORAN, Open RAN strategy successful. And we are going to talk about some of the use cases, first of all, on why we need SMO or how SMO would do it differently for Open RAN compared to, let's say, OSS, NMS, EMSs, and why do we need SMO at first place? So these are some of the areas we are going to talk about. And obviously, when I mention use cases, we'll mention some of the areas we are working on with our partner TechM, with Gaurav and teams across various geographies in Japan, in Europe, on making this Open RAN, ORAN strategy successful. So with this, let me go to the next slide on, why we need SMO at first place. So I think we see SMO as a framework to enable a lot of use cases that Open RAN brings in terms of, including but not limited to like having these standard components that are loosely coupled and highly aligned so that operators can actually innovate, automate on top of the available framework and APIs, have more innovation fueled into the ecosystem using R apps and X apps and many other mini apps to actually realize the benefits that open interfaces and open architecture that ORAN brings in. And obviously agile development in terms of delivering some of these innovations and key features, and reusability of a lot of common components to realize larger use cases. And I think all in all, it improves or it helps telcos to improve the operational efficiency, generate new revenue streams. Like, for example, we have been seeing some use cases from telcos where we are working together in sense that such a framework enables even telcos to innovate internally and put these innovations out there on an SMO framework like a marketplace that can be available for other telcos, similar telcos, to even leverage the innovations and opening up like new revenue streams for a lot of these use cases. So that is essentially some of the interesting business models that are emerging out of such open architectures. And we feel that without a solid SMO strategy, having just like ORAN for the sake of it wouldn't really make much sense. And I would like to double click on some of these framework and the innovations that SMO strategy can bring in. So let me go to the next slide to talk about some of the use cases that really make sense when we talk about SMO and ORAN. So I think we validated some of these use cases in our brownfield engagements for Open RAN, and starting from the top, like, zero-touch provisioning for the complete ORAN domain, not just like deploying your network functions using an orchestrator, but a real zero-touch provisioning that comprises of all the layers and domains that ORAN brings in. I think it's an essential and a very important use case for an SMO, which actually is helping the operators to launch the ORAN network and to manage them in day two with a complete lifecycle management workflows. The digital RAN planning, that what we mean essentially by digital RAN planning is to automate and digitalize the complete life cycle of how you decide where to deploy your sites, what all parameters, and even generate those configurations through automation is what really makes it zero touch. Otherwise, if you're generating the configs and a lot of these parameters manually and just uploading into an orchestrator and click on deploy, it's not really a true zero touch use case. And that's what we mean when we say digital planning. And once you have deployed and provision these network functions automatically, let's say, how do you certify or do the quality assurance and acceptance tests on these network functions is something that we cover under the auto ATP section. So essentially imagine that you are deploying, let's say, like a site is on air, but after the site is on air, if you are like doing these acceptance test processes manually, then it's not really zero touch provisioning. So what we offer as part of the SMO framework is also this ability to perform these certifications and acceptance tests. Could be around resource acceptance, could be around the network drive test, static or dynamic drive tests, and all of it under a common mobile app plus web-based framework in our SMO, which can help you automate the acceptance test processes. So that is on the ATP side. And then again, some of the day two operational automation use cases, such as backup and restore, auto healing, CI/CD based complete software lifecycle management, whereby you are talking not just about like a network function lifecycle management or upgrades and stuff like that, but also the surrounding components of the entire ORAN layer, right from the bare metal to the cloud to the network function. So the entire CI/CD and lifecycle management is also something that should be part of such an SMO strategy to really innovate and deliver the features, the new features and use cases in an agile manner. So that is also an integral part of this SMO story that we are building together. And I think lastly, on the day two operations, the real-time telemetry, which is basically, if you look at the SMO architecture as per the standards, there is not an EMS really. So how do we do the telemetry across the metal to the cloud to the network function layer, enable some of the day two automation tasks so that you don't have to like manage the networks the way they were manually. And the last one around the analytics and the whole real-time, near real-time and non-real-time RIG framework related use cases. So I think on day two as well, unless we are working on such kind of use cases, there is no real benefit of Open RAN. And that's why we say that's what we mean when we say that it's a very essential and integral aspect to make the ORAN successful if you have a solid SMO strategy. And I think that's where these use cases become important. And what I just described as these individual use cases, this slide sort of puts it all in one place and one perspective in terms of how an ORAN network should be managed and deployed in the right way using the SMO framework. And if you look at it, there are all these components starting from the planning of the network to the build out of the network to the operations of the network. So if I have to describe you this diagram, let's say in a brief summary, then it all starts with the right digital planning, whereby we use our SMO framework tools in order to plan the network, to decide where to put the sites, let's say, to start with, the coverage and capacity planning. And once the planning part is done, the whole journey of creating the bill of materials, having the entire workflow to manage the site deployment is something that we do using our common workflow engine. So imagine you have a bill of materials ready for your given site, and then the workflows will kick in to coordinate across different teams, right from the subcontractors, field engineers, and everyone to essentially deploy the sites on ground. And the field guys would have a mobile app whereby they can simply scan the inventory, and that's where your physical inventory journey starts, where you scan the mobile app, the equipment using the mobile app, and using the barcode or QR code, the inventory will start getting populated into the physical inventory system. And once the photographs and everything is taken on the field, a machine approves them behind the scenes. And as soon as the field installation is done, that is step number 4, we kick in the acceptance processes. And as soon as the ATPs are done for the installation, it gives a trigger for our zero-touch provisioning engine to actually deploy the complete ORAN domain comprising of the networking side, the servers, the installation of the cloud, and eventually provisioning the network functions with the configuration. So that's how the complete ZTP process looks like. So now that I've explained this whole concept on how SMO is an integral part to make ORAN successful with the use cases, let me hand it over to our partner, TechM, Gaurav from Tech Mahindra, who have been helping us to realize some of these use cases in our customers by helping us realize the whole effort that goes behind the scenes to actually deliver these workflows and these services. So over to you, Gaurav. Thank you.
Thanks, Anshul. Good morning, everybody. Thanks for coming here. I think Anshul spoke really well. Why SMO? And obviously the use cases to monetize and obviously increase your revenue streams. What's important is that who delivers it and how is it delivered, right? Because you can build great stacks. At the end, it should really be important to realize the benefits of deploying it right, first time right. And that's where we play a role of SI with TechM working with Rakuten. And I think we have been known predominantly as an OSS company over the last 30 years. And we've built a lot of great technologies around OSS. We simplify networks, we simplify, monetize, and modernize as well. So theme for this MWC for us has been simplify, A, B, modernize, wherein the role of an SMO becomes important and relevant, and we obviously monetize it. The 9 use cases which Anshul mentioned, they're just a starting point, right? You can obviously customize, build many more use cases depending upon your network architectures, your future roadmaps, and more importantly, what are your customers asking for and which customers you want to go after. Now, initially you had B2C many years ago, now you had B2B also, but I think the market towards the future is B2C to B to X. That means any customers can ask for any kind of use cases, and your network, your OSS has to be so modular, has to be so cloud native that you can just build use cases on the fly. Now, for that, you need an SI who actually understands the network, who understands IT, who understands the OSS landscape. And hence, it's a great combination we bring as a TechM, which is an IT, techno-commercial, and obviously the network part of it as well. Now, this is typically a brownfield operator, right? I mean, there are greenfield operators coming as well, and brownfield really needs an SMO. And the good part is that even if you have an existing OSS, what we are saying effectively is that you need not rip and replace your existing OSS. SMO is just an incremental work which happens on your existing OSS. So if any operator wants to build an O-RAN stack parallelly, you can simply add a layer of SMO on that, and that becomes part of your OSS. And I would call it OSS++ is what SMO is all about. Now, maybe I'll just give you one reference, and this is one case study which we have built with Rakuten recently. This customer, 1&1 in Germany, has gone live in December last year. And look at the right-hand side over here. It's a pretty multi-vendor stack, and which means that all that integration which has gone behind is quite complex in terms of the nature of different technologies, different vendor ecosystem. And what TechM has played a very crucial role is to bring this entire stack up. And it takes a lot of, I would say skill, capability, validation, testing, and know-how, which makes it live. So this has been a great case study working with Rakuten. I see many more such references coming up in the near future and look forward to working with you guys again. Now, the question is, what's the role of a system integrator? I think this has been our learning over the last many years that you need to build a network which is IoT based, right? Because now networks are all open and we should understand different components. Hence, you need a system integrator who understands different components. IoT becomes really important. Lab is where it all starts, right? Because you have a great concept, but at the end, if you can't validate it, if you can't certify it, if you can't build a stack which is all working in your pre-production environment, hence lab becomes so important. And we provide lab on demand, lab as a service to our customers as well. Automation, I think what Anshul spoke about is truly rare because automation, SMO is obviously there, AI becoming more and more relevant. I think that's where the success of any technology or any network in the future will rely on how well your system and your stacks are automated. Security, obviously, you have multiple components now, which is more vulnerable. You need to have a secure system. Hence, zero trust security becomes relevant. And at the end, every customer or an operator, be it enterprise or B2C or B2 or CSPs, they need a partner who can run the complete network which you have built, manage, operate, and run the KPIs which any operator needs today and tomorrow as well. So that's what we believe in summary is what we do with our partners like Rakuten. More than happy to attend any questions, and we are just very close from here. If you have any more questions around why, what we can help you with, more than happy to discuss further. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Any questions from the audience?
Ladies and gentlemen, a big round of applause, please, for our speakers.
Thank you so much.
Anshul Bhatt and Gaurav Sehgal. Many thanks, gents.